Hey, what's up? It's Mark with Cossack Customs. We're here to give you a step-by-step tutorial on how to build a pit bike from electric to gas, because everybody's been asking for it. So I'm here for you. We're going to go through the problems ourselves. A lot of cuss words yet to come off camera as much as I can because I've already burnt myself on a couple things. We're going to head into this together. All right, first up, this is the rear. This is a new sprocket. This is not the original sprocket because I got a new chain. Okay, this is a bigger, thicker chain. It's a little bit better, and it probably won't fall off like that other one that the Razor scooters originally used. So that's that sprocket. On the other side, I have a disc brake that I actually bolted to the original drum brake, as you can see. And then there's a little bracket on this bike that hangs up right here, and you guys can see it. Now I bolted this little brake here, ran the cable all the way through up into the brake. Literally what this is, guys, this is literally a bicycle disc brake that I put on here. It works great. My daughter's already tested it with no motor just to see if it would work. And then this is the throttle. I taped it because the kids pulled it. And then that runs to the carburetor, which is not installed right now. So just wanted to give you guys a little touch of the rear. This is how it's going to go. The chain over here, I use the original chain tensioner. And then here is the gear, I don't know what you would actually call this, but gear thing where it actually is the gear reducer, I guess. And there's the sprocket for that instead of the original one hanging onto here. This is the same motor. Excuse me. That you saw. So let's look at this. All right, next thing is when you install the chain, the problem is, let's say I just, because it's on a metal plate, guys. Remember I told you put it on a metal plate? Well, there it is. It's not installed yet, but I'm telling you, if you weld this plate onto the frame, yeah, your motor's good. You're like, good to go, man. But the problem is, this wheel does not adjust. As you can see, this bolt right here, it's like a U. It goes up. It doesn't go back like a bicycle. So if I weld it on here and mount the chain in here, the chain could be loose. There's no way to adjust the chain other than taking links off of it. So the best way to do it is to put it onto the sprocket, take the motor, pull it tight, clamp it, and then weld it. Okay, next thing, for the exhaust. See, that's really high up right now because it was bent to the original state. So now after this is getting welded, you're going to take the exhaust, and don't worry, you won't bust it. As long as it's mounted really well under here, then you just bend it down and bend it over until it lays flat upon here, and then it'll go out the butt end of the bike when you're done. Kind of like what you saw in the previous video. Alright, so now that the chain's on, you gotta move the chain to be around the sprocket. Okay, so as you can see, it's around the sprocket, no problems. Right there. I'm gonna move this. It's hard to do with one hand. Okay, so now that the chain tensioner's on the sprocket, on the rear tire and the front, that's never going to work, guys. That's never going to work. Hence, why we need to not weld the front part until this is tight, because the rear tire can't move. So what you do, as you can see, it starts to move. Here's another problem you have to be aware of. You see this sprocket, how it's all aimed out now? This is not complete. It needs to be completely straight. So what you're doing is you're kind of adjusting the motor. Come on, really? You pull, get it nice and tight, but you don't want you want the motor to be completely, like, I guess, parallel with the frame. Because if the motor is like cockeyed, the chain's going to fall off this sprocket or that sprocket, even if it's tight, and then it's gone. And it's going to do the exact same problem I had last time. So if you keep the engine farther enough away to where it's tight, like this, but yet it has to be straight, hence clamps. Then once you put the clamps on, you weld it, and then the chain is not going to go anywhere, and then you can put all the stuff back. As you can see, the carburetor is removed, the ground is removed, the kill switch is removed, all that stuff. So that's how that's going to work. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to move this, get it tight, clamp it, and then show you guys what it looks like right there. Okay, I feel like this is as good as it's going to get here. So if you look back, is it lined up? That's pretty damn straight. And I got one of the clamps over here. Right there. Just kind of holding it. Now what I'm going to do is that there's a huge gap between the actual frame and the motor plate. Because, I mean, obviously this wasn't designed for this. So, as you could see, I mean, holy God, right? I mean, look at that gap. I mean, it's the bolts there. So what I might do is take a little piece of metal and lay it here and then weld those two together. But I can tell you right now, this back part here, that's almost flush. I'm going to lay down a pretty good weld right there just to hold the motor in place for now. And then to answer that other guy's question that said, how come you didn't move the motor to where the electric motor is? Well, because if the motor sat right here, the carburetor hit the tire. And then the actual fairings wouldn't look good with it because it wouldn't work and I wouldn't be able to get to the handle. So that's the reason I didn't. If you did, great, man. Show me a picture. I want to see it. But as of right now, this actually works pretty good. And if that chain could stay on, this thing will fly. So let's lay down a tack weld right here. Be in mind, I am not a professional welder. Do not judge my welds. As long as it works, I don't care what it looks like. Don't judge me. It's not the best weld in the world, but it works. And that's really all that matters. All right, moment of truth. All right, so, no, it's not pretty. But guess what? It doesn't move, so whatever. I'm not winning any welding award shows. Plus, it's a Harbor Freight $100 electric just flux weld. It's nothing going to be pretty. So there it is, okay? It's welded onto the frame. No, the motor's not probably going to go anywhere. Here's the thing. The chain, I got it lined up almost perfect that way. And then as you can see, the weld's on there, so it's not going to move. Here's my other problem that I almost ran into. That carburetor right there, which is a racing carburetor, I hope it fits. It's not like I can move the motor. Worst case scenario, I have an angle grinder and cut that off, but I really don't want to do that. So we will see how this works when I do this. Next step, put carburetor on, right? So I'm going to start spinning the wheel. Make sure that, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's perfect amount of flex. That's like, that'll work good. Yeah, no, that'll look real good. All right, so I'm going to put the carburetor on. And let's see how that looks real quick when we're done. All right, carburetor's on. Looks good. It might not be all the way on there, but the plastic's on there. And it slid pretty far back before. Thought about shaving that part down, but I don't want to ruin the weld. So we're going to see how this works out. If not, I might have to shave it down. Now my next thing is, there has got to be a way to lay a weld right there. You see that gap between the plate and the actual plate of the bike? There's got to be a weld I can lay down right there that'll work. I'm going to try to figure that out. So, and then after that, the motor should be really well mounted onto the actual frame, and then I can bend the exhaust back because I don't want to break that weld. Chain looks good. I'm actually kind of impressed. Almost going to get this on. So believe it or not, we're actually pretty close to being done because I just wired up the ground to put the ground attached to the actual motor. Okay. If you guys don't know how this works, I'll explain this like I did in the last video just in case. Okay. I just did a little, you know, connector right here. What that does is I can disconnect it and disconnect the motor from the actual ground. But this is like one of those grounds you buy off of eBay for like $5, right? It's like a pull thing. Once you pull it off, the motor kills. It's got two wires coming through it, which is this harness here. Two wires coming out. As you can see here, one wire goes to the actual motor, and the next wire goes to this. Now, when you pull this, it puts a connection between the green and red wire right here. And what that does is the green wire is obviously grounded, right? It'll ground out the spark right there. And no spark with fuel and air does nothing. No spark, no run. That's how kill switches work. It basically grounds out your spark plug. So I pull this, motor will just die, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. So now that it's technically on there, just not on there well enough for me, I could put the fairing on, put some fuel in it, see if it runs, but I want to make sure I get the motor welded on there pretty well first. So I don't know if I want to put a piece of scrap metal in it and call it a day, or what I'm gonna do yet. So let me figure that out, and then I'll let you guys know. Trust me, I will not leave you out of the loop. I usually don't do walkthroughs like this, but I'm going to do it today because you guys kept asking for it. So, and as you can see all the cuts that I've made, so you know what cuts to make. So cut that off. You'll cut the center bar off, all that stuff. All right, let's get good. All right, guys, here's what I did. A piece of angle iron and welded it on the, God, that looks like crap, but man, you know what? It works, and I don't really care. So put a piece of angle iron in between and literally just welded the plate to the angle. God, it looks like a bunch of little teardrops. But like I said, it's not really, I'm just kind of in a hurry. I really don't care. Ooh, the motor's a little warm. But I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Plus, I'm not riding it, and I weigh like 230. So that's on there. Now we can bend the exhaust to where it needs to go. Then we can put everything back together. Then it should be almost ready to go. So very, very simple, guys. Just time consuming. And if you are an amateur welder like myself, where it's like, oh, that'll hold, and then you see that, and you know, the real welders of the world are like, dude, and I'm like, I don't care, because you know what? It's for my kid. I'm not going in any welding classes. As long as it works, I don't care. Better than that piece of wood. So anyway, let me get the let me get everything back in there and see what we got to go here. And then I'll come back. I promise, guys. This is not as complicated as it seems, but this is as close as a walkthrough as I can get you. Okay, so next problem. I think I ended the video on the last one. After you saw that black screen, there was a problem. Huge problem. Chain kept falling off again. Couldn't figure out why. So the actual chain tensioner, I think, is not meant for that chain. Okay, not T8, I think it's T8F chain. This is a T25 chain only. It does not work, it sucks. So I actually used to use pieces of metal inside the actual frame and then jack the chain up on the piece of metal. So if you look, I'm gonna scroll around here and then we're gonna take a look at it and I'll show you the actual finished product. I told you there were gonna be cuss words, and let me tell you, there was a lot of cuss words on this one. So here's the final product, okay? Don't get mad. But when you order the back sprocket, guys, make sure you watch this whole video before you order stuff. Make sure you get the one that actually matches up with this circumference here. The last one I had, let me show you guys real quick, just so you see. Look, okay, first off, the bearing is shot on this one. You see this? Don't get that one. I had to weld around here to get it to fit because it doesn't actually fit into there. Get the one that does, okay? This is the one that you need. This one, I'll put a link in the description so you guys have an actual link to click on so you can get it, okay? This is a T8F chain, and then this right here is that sprocket that actually matches up perfectly. Now, I didn't have any more of these bolts here, so I just welded it, which you have to do it anyway because you're reversing the tire. So you need to put some welds all the way around, weld this together, and then weld the actual thing. You know how when you turn the electrical one, it goes zzz, like that. Well, you want to make sure that you weld that together so that doesn't do that, so it's solid back and forth. Okay, that's what you want. Now, here are my chain tensioners. I had to do this because it was a pain in the butt with the other one. It kept falling off and then the chain would fall off. So I welded a piece of angle iron here, okay, just to hold it. And then I took a bolt and welded it here. By the way, my weld got better. Do you know why? It's the wire. Harbor Freight, like, Chicago electric wire sucks. I got the Vulcan wire. Holy God, what a difference. Like, I don't know. Like, it is a significant amount of difference. I'm still not the best welder in the world, but oh my gosh, it welds so much easier. Anyway, so you take the chain and you put it on here, and it's pretty tight, right? That's about how much tension you want on both sides, right here. Now, so I had to replace the whole back tire. Okay, as that's a little older, I'm going to replace the rubber with the other one that you guys saw. But this is actually what it's going to look like, okay? You get a little bit more space on both sides, as you can see, because the other sprocket was like right here. And then I mean like right on the edge, and you can see the rub from the other one. You don't want that. You want one that matches the exact thing, so it looks like this, and then it goes straight up to the engine, okay? And it is So smooth. I just turned it on and hit the gas and it runs perfect. Okay, I'm gonna replace the rubber. Now I took obviously the disc brake is not back on here. Okay, I'll have to put it back on here. I had to remove the brake because of it. So the brake's up there right now on that one. Okay, everything else is still the same. I welded the plate a little bit better this time. So I took a piece of metal, welded it to here, welded it to the plate. Of course that happens behind me. This right here, the spring in my choke broke on this new carburetor. So I have to hold it at the exact spot that it would be down, because otherwise it flips up and the choke's always on, so it won't run right. Don't worry about that. If you have the new carburetor that comes with the actual motor, you should be fine. It was leaking a little bit because I busted it in there and it cracked the bottom. Don't worry about that. That's not your problem. That's mine. That won't happen to you. Did a little bit more of gay-ass welding here, right here. As you can see, it's just welding that together, welding that to the plate so the engine doesn't move. Yes, Bud, what do you need? Gabe. What? Gabe what? Gabe. Okay, let's not rat out other kids. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this one has a good bearing in it. Obviously, it's the front tire. The actual caliper's up here. I just zip tied it. I'm gonna try to actually put a metal bracket onto here and then put the brake on, because it doesn't have any brakes again. So it did before and now it doesn't again. So anyway, I'll start it for you guys and then I'll hit the gas and I'll show you what it looks like and how smooth it is. Yeah, if you have to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. That's my 4-year-old. So I'll start it up. I'll hit the gas. I'll show you what it looks like, show you how smooth it goes. That way you guys can see it. And that way you know I'm not full of crap. So that's the problem I ran into, guys. Just remember, you want to try to line the engine and the sprocket up perfectly, because on regular dirt bikes, they automatically do it. With this one, you have to do it by, Kentucky windage, I guess, or eyes. But you have to make sure that you get the one that fits. Don't get the one like I got. Okay, and like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below. If you guys have one of these and you need to move your actual kickstand, I just re-drilled a hole here and then just re-bolted it and then put a weld so it never moves, and now it works great. Like I said, the Harley-Davidson pegs are still the same. The bracket over here isn't welded. There's a huge gap, but that's where the weld comes on the other side. So that's pretty much it. It runs great. My nephew rides it. He's 13, and my daughter rode it. She's 9. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. Let me start this thing up for you, and then we'll take a look at it. All right. All right, here we go. All right, check it out. That's what you want. Now, basically what I just built was a normal pit bike that you could buy off of Amazon or eBay for over $400. Sometimes you can get them for $3 or $4. This one is one of those razor ones. It was kind of a project just to have fun with. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of cuss words in there. That box right there that you guys see destroyed, that's an actual pit bike that I bought. It was like $400. I'll show you guys a video of that one if you want to see it. But basically I bought that one because I have a nephew and a daughter. And two, to look at the design, to see how they did the brakes in the back or the brakes in the front, so I can kind of like redesign and make my own for this one. Also, another thing, I don't know if I described this in my last video, make sure you guys exhaust wrap this thing. And I mean just like that. This is an exhaust I had for one of my old cars. Wrap up your exhaust because it starts to get hot and it'll melt your plastic. And I've already had that problem. There's a fuel line, everything seems to be working good. Just so you guys know, this thing actually does haul butt even more. I'm going to try to get a video of my daughter or nephew riding it for you, so that way it shows, and then I'll get a video of them riding the other one, and you can see the difference. The only difference between this one and that one, other than obviously the way it's put together, there's no suspension on this one. There's no spring, there's no nothing. So the other one actually has a shock in the back, like an ATV or a regular dirt bike. This one does not, so that's the only difference. So the guys that asked me why you put the engine here and not move it all the way back, the reason why is I wanted it to fit more up here. Yeah, I could put it right here, but I just didn't want the carburetor getting too close to this, and it just looks better for me. I just liked it like this. If you want to do it the other way, you can, totally fine. It's just I don't want to get away with the peg, and that was a pain in the butt. So Next up would be the brakes. I'll do a follow-up video for the brakes when I'm done with it. But as of right now, I wanted to guys give you an update on this one. I told you I'd do a walkthrough of it, and I did the best I could for you. So if you guys have any questions, obviously comment down below. I'll take care of it for you. You guys know I answer your questions if you have one. If you have any other ideas or anything like that, throw that out, man. I'm all open to ideas. So anyway, till the next video, I'll see you guys later. And peace. I got my 13-year-old nephew on the one I built. My daughter's on the other one that I bought. So I can show you the one of the monster helmets, the one I bought. Oh great, they're racing. That's not what I wanted to see.